Top 5 Thaumaturge feats! Did you think the video was paused? Probably not. This was stupid. On to the video. I want to give a huge shout out to all the members of the No Night One's Patreon page if you want to get your name on the list. Link in the description. This is the stupidest intro. I may be running out of ideas for intros because I'm making 30 videos in 1 month, but that's fine. This is what you get. You get raw, unfiltered No Night. I don't have time to double think my... This is my second cup of coffee today. On with the show. As always, for some of these videos, I have some honorable mention feats I'd like to talk about for the Thaumaturge before I get into my top 5, because honestly, Thaumaturge has so many cool feats. The class is amazing baseline, but some of these feats are just so neat, and more than any other class, I think Thaumaturge feats just give the Thaumaturge so many more cool, customized options. Almost none of them inherently make the Thaumaturge stronger. Almost. So I'd like to start with an honorable mention for Root to Life. Being able to walk over and one action stabilize anybody is already super cool, but if you spend a second action, you also get to get rid of persistent damage. That's super cool, and it's only a DC 10 instead of 15. I just think throwing this on a support Thaumaturge is awesome, and the fact that you can make a support Thaumaturge in the first place is just such cool design. Love this feat. My other honorable mention, it almost made it on the list because this feat is so dumb. My only thing keeping it off this list is that it's not going to come up super often. Turn away Misfortune. As a reaction, if you would roll with disadvantage, you don't. That's the whole feat. The problem is that because this is not Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you don't roll with disadvantage very often. I could probably count on both hands the number of times I've ever seen a character roll with disadvantage in Pathfinder. It's part of the game separating itself from D&D. There's not a whole lot of what's called fortune and misfortune in Pathfinder. It's very rare, and giving yourself fortune is a little bit more common than giving somebody else misfortune. So even though this is a really cool feeling feat with no cooldown, you can just keep ignoring disadvantage. It doesn't happen often enough to be worth my top 5 spots. Alright, in my top 5 list, you know we always gotta have one of these, and it's coming in 5th place, the really way too high level ability that just feels incredible to use, but it's low on the list because you get it at level 18, Implements Assault. You know Whirlwind Strike? You know, the big bunko, let's hit everybody around me ability for fighters and barbarians? What if that had a 30-foot reach in all directions? Implements Assault is 3 actions where you just let go of your weapon, and it flies around, attacks every single enemy within 30 feet of the Thaumaturge, all at your full attack bonus. And then it comes back to your hand. There's a reason this is level 18. Why does the Thaumaturge get a better Whirlwind Strike than the Barbarian? What? 5th place. Insane feat. What were they thinking? I love it. I will say the thing that balances this feat and keeps it weaker is that you can only exploit vulnerability on one target at a time if you manage to get a mortal weakness that applies to the rest of the enemies you're fighting, because often encounters are themed around a specific type of enemy. This can be absolutely bonkers, but in reality, if you're fighting different types of enemies, this actually isn't going to do all that much damage because your typical damage per hit is going to be much less than your ranger, your barbarian, your rogue. Now, let's get into some feats that you will actually likely get to use on your Thaumaturge before the last 3 sessions of a 1 to 20 campaign. Scroll Thaumaturgy, and by extension, the rest of the feats in this chain. I love this. This has such a soft spot in my heart. Scroll Thaumaturgy is one of the coolest designs in all of Pathfinder, in my opinion. It is, to my knowledge, the only martial class that gains the abilities to cast spells. Level 1 is the important one, as this just lets you cast any spell scroll from any tradition. That alone is insane. You can cast any spell in existence because you're not tied to a specific tradition. Normally, something like a cleric could only cast divine scrolls, but you, the Thaumaturge, with this one feat, can cast any scroll of any spell from any tradition, and you can hold and activate the scrolls in the same hand you're holding your implement, so you're not even held back by your hand capabilities as a Thaumaturge. This single feat does so much, and then going on to things like Scroll Esoterica to give you free spells per day. Oh, it's so cool. It's like you're playing a spellcaster who's held back because they can cast any tradition of magic, so they only get like a first rank spell per day at level 6. even better in most situations, you get to use your Thaumaturge class DC instead of the DC of the spell on the scroll. So if you're a higher level and you're casting a low level scroll, it's using your class DC, which is so cool. My third favorite Thaumaturge feat is on here because you know me, you love breaking and bending the rules and doing things you're not supposed to, and let me tell you, going along with an enemy's teleportation effect is so cool. Level 14's Trespass Teleportation is insane. If you have targeted an enemy with exploit vulnerability and they are within 120 feet of you and they use any kind of teleportation effect, then as a reaction, you go with them. There is no save. You don't have to make a check. You just go with them as a reaction. And if you have the feats that let you share your vulnerability with your allies, they can teleport right alongside you. I can just already see the campaign holes this is gonna open when a demon teleports back to the abyss, or whatever it's called in Pathfinder, and the Thaumaturge says, "Trespass teleportation!" The Thaumaturge is just gone. Because this does not have any text specifying, like, it has to be on the same plane, or there's a limit on distance you can travel. No, if they teleport halfway across Galarian, and you use this, you're going with them. And that's just really funny. But I think it can lead to some really cool story moments too. You know, this really big bad character like a Lich is about to get away with 2 hit points, and it casts a teleportation spell, and just the Thaumaturge goes with it, and the Thaumaturge kills the Lich, but is then just completely separated from the party with no way to return. I think that's awesome. I love being able to just go along with somebody else's teleportation. It's so cool. This embodies so much about what I love about TTRPGs, about doing the unexpected things. I love... Sure, it's level 14. Sure, it's situational. 9 times out of 10, gonna do nothing but sit on your character sheet. But if it does happen, that 1 in 10 Thaumaturge who take this feat and gets to use it thematically, oh. Bonus tip to the GMs, if you have a Thaumaturge who took this feat, give them a setup. Give them a chance. Let them use it, because it's gonna be so hype. My second favorite feat might surprise some people on the Thaumaturge, and that's because, as a whole, it doesn't do a bunch, but it gives you consistently reliable bonus damage. I'm talking about the level 10 feat, Twin Weakness. The simple way to explain this feat is that for 2 actions, you make a melee strike against the target of your exploit vulnerability. If you hit, crit, or miss on a normal failure, they take damage from your triggered weakness again, whether it's mortal weakness or personal antithesis. If they're taking 7 bonus damage from your personal antithesis and you miss with your strike, you still press your implement against them and they take that 7 damage. If you hit them normally, the weakness bonus 7 damage triggers on your attack and then triggers again separately from your implement. That just scared the hell out of me. Squid? Ma'am? Oh. I have been gifted an inside-out mouse toy from Squid. Where was I? Yeah, basically this is a 2-action strike that says on a failure, success, or crit success, you apply their weakness again. This doesn't do any bonus damage on a critical hit, and if you critically miss, you don't get this damage either. But honestly, if you're just making 1 solid attack per turn, you can think of this as 1 extra action to guarantee damage equal to their weakness, which at level 10, that's crazy. That is 7 damage minimum. If you miss, you're dealing 7 damage. If you hit, you're dealing 7 bonus damage with no chance to fail. It's fantastic, and I love reliability in TTRPGs. The randomness is fun, and it's only fun, the reliability is only fun because you're beating the randomness. If it was all consistent, it wouldn't be fun. But this is fun. Sorry, I'm distracted by the cat in my room. Bob, do you have something you need to say? Hi. Yes, hi. You've got my attention. This is what... You are distracting. You're very, very distracting. You're so distracting. But my number 1 favorite Thaumaturge feat, and probably a lot of people's favorite Thaumaturge feat, is also at level 10. Share Weakness. Oh my gosh, if there was ever a boss killer feat, it's Share Weakness. For 1 action, as long as you have something currently affected by your exploit vulnerability, all the bonus damage you deal because of it can be applied to any ally. And guess what? There's no range. It does not say adjacent. It doesn't say anything. It just says give it to an ally. You've got a flurry ranger with a longbow 200 feet away. Cool. All of their attacks now get +7 damage against the boss until the boss is dead for one action. It's insane. Now, there is a massive caveat to share weakness, and that's that it does not work if you chose personal antithesis, which means share weakness has a big weakness. If the creature you're fighting has no weakness, share weakness is a dead feat. Because you can't share personal antithesis and using mortal weakness would not give you any bonus damage, this does absolutely nothing. It is only effective against creatures who have a weakness. But when you fight a creature with weakness 10 to something like holy, and you can give that to your flurry ranger, I want to vomit. I want to vomit from that potentially +20 or 30 bonus damage per round just for a single action. It's nasty, it's massive, I'm only sad it's level 10. If that were earlier, I feel like level 8 would be fair for share weakness. I'll be real, but it's my favorite Thaumaturge feat, because I love nothing more than giving my allies a bonus that I'm already giving myself. Share the love, power everybody up, it feels fantastic to be a team player. And that's Pathfinder for you. Stop trying to make a main character, stop trying to make a single massive titan who can do it all themselves. You will never be as good as a team working together, buffing each other, applying conditions, and setting each other up for success. I'll scream that from the rooftops until the day I stop playing this game. I want to give another huge shout out to all the members of the No Net One's Patreon. There's a link in the description if you want to get your name on that list. Thank you so much. Sorry this video was a little bit faster paced, but the last video was a lot longer than I expected it to be. So, shorter videos for fun. Ha!